After confirming the pregnancy, I planned to give Shen Tinglan a surprise when he came back. But as soon as I got home, I saw his female assistant setting up a fish tank in my living room. I've been afraid of fish since I was a child, so I asked her to take it away. Madam, these fish are mine. They are a little shy, so President Shen specifically asked me to keep them here. I couldn't be bothered arguing with her, and directly asked the housekeeper to send the fish tank back to her house. But when Shen Tinglan came back that evening, he questioned me with a dark face. Rongrong's fish are timid. They were so scared after you sent them away that they all died. Rongrong was crying so hard that she had an asthma attack, and is still in the hospital. Are you sick? You knew I was afraid of fish, yet you let her bring them here. Besides, this is my house. Can't I decide what I don't want? A dark look flashed in Shen Tinglan's eyes. Of course you can. You are the mistress of this house. I lost the mood to give him a surprise and moved to the guest room that night. But when I woke up, I found myself hanging above a huge fish tank. Several piranhas were jumping out of the water from time to time, trying to gnaw at my feet. The spectators around the stands were all Shen Tinglan's cronies, laughing and joking. And Shen Tinglan was holding Li Rongrong's hand, smirking coldly at me. It's okay to be afraid of fish. Just spend more time playing with them, and you'll get used to it. I stared at their live-streaming phone and said coldly, Jiang Chuan, send them all to feed the sharks. As soon as I finished speaking, after a moment of silence, everyone burst into arrogant laughter. Who is she talking about? Did I hear wrong? Is that Jiang Chuan, the one whose body couldn't even be found? She's been scared silly by the piranhas and is starting to talk nonsense. The Jiang family's era is long gone. She's still daydreaming. A hint of smugness flashed in Shen Tinglan's eyes. He pulled Li Rongrong to his side, and put his arm around her waist in an ambiguous manner, saying teasingly, Begin. The machine sound started, and I began to descend. Until my feet could just touch the surface of the water, Shen Tinglan said lazily, Stop. I looked down and saw the piranhas circling a few times in the water. Then they gradually built up their strength, and went straight for my feet. I was hanging in midair, and could only use my core strength to quickly retract my feet. The piranhas jumped out of the water and missed, and I breathed a sigh of relief. But because I used my core so much, my lower abdomen began to ache faintly. Shen Tinglan stood on the stands, looking down at me condescendingly. Admit your mistake, beg for forgiveness, apologize to Rongrong, and I will let you go. What mistake have I made? Shen Tinglan, I warn you, let me go immediately, or you will regret it. I stubbornly stared at Shen Tinglan. A hint of disappointment flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and waved. The frightening sound of the machine rang again, and I was lowered even further. Now both feet were immersed in the water. I kept retracting my feet to avoid the piranha's pursuit. Shen Tinglan, I'm pregnant. Let me go now. When Shen Tinglan heard my words, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. We had been married for 5 years, and this was our second child. I had previously miscarried due to a car accident, and Shen Tinglan was devastated, because he dreamed of having a blood-related family member. So I had been trying hard to conceive for the past few years. I took medicine and injections without complaint. Shen Tinglan had also been eating vegetarian food, donating to charity, and kowtowing 3 times and bowing 9 times in front of temples, praying that we could be parents again. Now the wish had finally come true, but he was treating me like this for Li Rongrong. Seeing Shen Tinglan hesitate, Li Rongrong coughed delicately. President Shen, let Madam down. I'm just an assistant. I'm not qualified to have Madam apologize. It was my fault that the fish died. I didn't protect the last gift my father left me. As Li Rongrong spoke, she began to have difficulty breathing and fell backward. Shen Tinglan immediately embraced her and comforted her softly. How could it be your fault? It's clearly her fault. Don't worry, I will never let you be wronged. Shen Tinglan immediately ordered someone to call a doctor for Li Rongrong. When he looked up again, his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Continue to lower her. Shen Tinglan. I roared in despair, but he said with a mocking expression, Jiang Lai, you are too despicable. You know I care about children, so you lied to me to try and make me let you go. But you forgot that the doctor said your body is very difficult to get pregnant again. Submerge her lower body in the water, and add more piranhas, until she admits her mistake and apologizes. The water in the fish tank instantly went over my waist. My legs were underwater, and I could only struggle with all my might. There were 3 or 4 more piranhas. They circled my lower body hungrily. I was on guard at all times, but my body was tied up, and I couldn't resist at all. The piranhas began to attack me. They frantically tore at my lower limbs, ripping my pajama pants to shreds in 2 bites. Then bite after bite they gnawed on my legs. Traces of blood began to spread in the fish tank. Ah! I screamed in pain, drawing laughter from the crowd in the stands. Exciting! I heard that piranhas become even more ferocious when they smell blood. How long do you think it will take these few to gnaw away all of Jianglai's lower limbs? Someone in the live stream is betting that it won't take 2 hours to gnaw her down to the bones. I frantically shook my legs in the water, trying to avoid the piranha's bites as much as possible. Shen Tinglan began to frown slightly. Jianglai, admit your mistake and apologize and I'll let you out. Li Rongrong, who had been treated by the doctor, also began to plead. President Shen let Madam out. Although these types of piranhas aren't very harmful, Madam's body is delicate and can't stand any injury. Look how much pain she's in. I don't need an apology, just let her out. Before Shen Tinglan could speak, Li Rongrong turned around and advised me. Madam, President Shen usually spoils you the most. This time, please admit your mistake for his sake and give him a way out. Looking at her anxious face, although I was in pain, I still smiled sarcastically. Why should I admit a mistake if I didn't do anything wrong? Who are you putting on this act for? When my brother comes, I'll send you to feed the sharks. Jianglai, Shen Tinglan scolded. You're still unrepentant at this point. I've been too lenient with you in the past. Rongrong is pleading for you despite your past actions, and you're threatening her. Do you think the Jiang family is still the richest in the capital? Your brother? Your brother is long dead. Shen Tinglan's anger grew stronger and stronger. He raised his hand and coldly ordered, release another 100 piranhas and submerge her whole body in the water. As Shen Tinglan's voice fell, whistles rang out one after another in the audience. The live stream also erupted in a climax. This is even more exciting than a magic show. Jianglai was once the top unattainable beauty in the capital, looking down on everyone. Now she's being played with like this. It's so satisfying. What about back then? The Jiang family only has her left. Now she's completely dependent on President Shen to support her. President Shen can do whatever he wants with her. Release the fish quickly. I want to see the piranhas surround her completely. As the gate opened, a dense swarm of piranhas surged into the fish tank. My entire body plunged into the water with a splash. Only my head remained above the surface. The fish instantly transformed into a tornado, circling my body. My legs were covered in wounds, some so deep that bone was visible. But Shen Tinglan seemed blind and couldn't see. He even scoffed, saying, these piranhas Rongrong found are the least aggressive. A bite is at most a small scratch. Yet you're being dramatic and shouting, making a mountain out of a molehill. In the fish tank, my hands were tied, only my legs could move. Countless piranhas stared with lifeless eyes, circling around me. They were looking for an opportunity to bite. My head was above the water. The water pressure squeezed my chest. Just breathing was a huge effort. Then the first fish attacked me, tearing off a piece of flesh from my arm. My painful roar was lost in the crowd's jeers. The smell of blood stimulated the nerves of all the piranhas. They began to tear at me like madmen. Some bites were light, some were heavy. Each bite, in addition to pain, was tormenting my nerves. My hands were immobilized, and I could only feebly thrash my legs, chest, back, arms, thighs. My clothes were torn to shreds by them, every place seeping with blood. The huge fish tank was almost dyed red with my blood. Is this special effects? Didn't you say these fish weren't very aggressive? Why does Jianglai look like she's about to die? Shen Tinglan coldly watched the fish tank, the piranhas darting back and forth. He couldn't quite see my body clearly. He could only see my face becoming paler and paler, and my spirit becoming more and more listless. He hesitated for a moment, and then asked me again, Jiang Lai, do you admit your mistake and apologize? Shen Tinglan, I will never forgive you. If anything happens to my child, when my brother comes, I will make you all be buried with my child. His jaw tightened, and his eyes overflowed with overwhelming anger. It's your brother again. I'm telling you, Jiang Lai, with my current strength, even if your father and brother were to come back to life, I, Shen Tinglan, wouldn't be afraid of them in the slightest. The Jiang family has long been defeated. No one can ever control my life, Shen Tinglan's again. Li Rongrong leaned on Shen Tinglan's shoulder with heartache in her eyes. Madam, you should just admit your mistake. After all, you still have to rely on President Shen to survive in the future. He should be your everything. You can't contradict him in front of so many people. As long as you admit your mistake, I won't blame you. I will definitely help you persuade President Shen. He can still listen to me a little. The pain on my body tormented me again and again. I ignored Li Rongrong, and she sighed. President Shen, it's understandable that Madam doesn't take me seriously. Quickly release her, lest she really treat me as an enemy in the future. Then how can I work by your side? Shen Tinglan said through gritted teeth. The Shen Corporation is not up to her to call the shots. Who I want she has no right to criticize. Lower it again. Submerge her whole body underwater. I want to see, how long can she stay stubborn? I was completely thrown into the fish tank. The piranha's gnawing and the suffocation of drowning swept over me. I struggled frantically in the water involuntarily. Just when I thought I was about to suffocate, Shen Tinglan would have the machine pull me out of the water again. Repeatedly, I was thrown in and pulled out like a toy, until I clearly felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. A warm stream flowed from my body. Fear instantly spread throughout my body. When I was pulled out of the water, I shouted, "The baby! Shen Tinglan, my baby!" Shen Tinglan frowned, looking at me impatiently. With just one glance, he saw the bloodstains between my legs flowing away. He panicked and shouted, "Stop! Tell them to stop! The baby, she's really pregnant, hurry and tell them to stop and get her out." Shen Tinglan quickly ran down the stairs, rushing towards me. Li Rongrong followed behind him. President Shen, is Madam really pregnant? But haven't you been staying at the company lately because of social engagements? You haven't been together, how could Madam be pregnant? With just one sentence, Shen Tinglan suddenly stopped in his tracks. I was hanging above the water, my consciousness already beginning to blur. I only glimpsed Shen Tinglan staring at me with complex anger in his eyes. Jiang Lai, how did this child come about? Have you betrayed me? The baby was passing away, blood dripping down my legs, which were covered in wounds. I felt like every second was an eternity. Shen Tinglan, you are a scumbag. Shen Tinglan punched the fish tank. Who is the adulterer? Li Rongrong choked with grief. Madam, how could you do this to President Shen? He works so hard day and night just to give you a good life. How can you do this to him? I was already so tortured that I couldn't say a complete sentence. But I knew in my heart that their retribution was coming soon. My brother will be here soon. Shen Tinglan snorted coldly, his expression gradually becoming sinister. I was actually happy about having a child, and I even felt guilty about treating you like this today. Jiang Lai, the Jiang family really doesn't have a single good person. He waved his hand with a cold smile. Feeling the machine descending again, I mustered the last of my strength. Shen Tinglan, you killed your own child, you will go to hell. My brother will never let any of you go, you just wait. Shen Tinglan put his arm around Li Rongrong and kissed her on the lips. I even collected Jiang Chuan's ashes, he can't come back. Since you betrayed our marriage, then I don't need to hold back anymore. Rongrong is well-mannered and sensible, and is already pregnant with my child. You, Jiang Lai, are no longer worthy of me, Shen Tinglan. He threw me back into the fish tank in a fit of rage. And this time, he had no intention of pulling me out again. As my vision went dark, I saw Li Rongrong's hateful and triumphant smile. I won't be soft-hearted anymore, Jiang Lai. You won't get out unless you admit your mistake and apologize. I want to see how Jiang Chuan, who has already turned into ashes, can come and save you. Shen Tinglan put his arm around Li Rongrong and was about to return to the stance. But just as they turned around, countless gunshots rang out, and the huge fish tank instantly shattered. Shen Tinglan and Li Rongrong were overturned by the enormous pressure. All the piranhas flew up and fell to the ground, struggling in despair. I was gently lowered down, falling into familiar arms. A cold, deep voice sounded. "Tie them all up for me, don't let anyone escape." At the order of the newcomer, a group of fully armed mercenaries rushed in and tied everyone's hands behind their backs. Although they were scions of prestigious families in the capital, compared to mercenaries who lived through actual gunfire, they were like kindergarten children. Just as everyone was frantically trying to escape but failing, a trembling voice pulled everyone back to their senses. "Jiang Chuan. It really is Jiang Chuan." Shen Tinglan gradually regained his composure. He incredulously crawled up from the ground. His trembling finger pointed at the person holding me. "Impossible. How could you still be alive? I watched you get cremated with my own eyes." Jiang Chuan snorted. He gently handed me over to the medical team he brought. He walked towards Shen Tinglan step by step. Shen Tinglan trembled as he retreated step by step. Jiang Chuan walked up to Shen Tinglan like the Grim Reaper descending. Before he could react, a gunshot rang out, and Shen Tinglan's calf was shot through. He fell to the ground and screamed. Li Rongrong was instantly pale with fright, her legs weak, and she knelt on the ground. Jiang Chuan didn't say anything. He pointed the gun at Shen Tinglan's other leg. Shen Tinglan shook his head repeatedly, crawling backward with all his might, leaving a long trail of blood. "Chuan, listen to my explanation. I can explain." Bang! Another shot. Shen Tinglan's screams echoed throughout the sky. With both legs shot, he didn't even have the strength to crawl. Jiang Chuan's voice seemed to come from hell. "Shen Tinglan, you deserve to die." He kicked Shen Tinglan, who was wailing on the ground. His eyes bloodshot as he questioned. "How did you swear to me back then that you would protect my sister with your life? When the Jiang family was around, you licked my and my dad's shoes like a dog, served my sister like a servant. And now the Jiang family has only been gone for a year, and you dare to hurt her like this?" Jiang Chuan stepped on Shen Tinglan's head. Shen Tinglan's eyes filled with fear. "No, Chuan, listen to my explanation. Jiang Lai betrayed me. She's pregnant with another man's child. We're both men. You should be able to understand what it's like to be cuckolded." I was wrong, Chuan, forgive me. I'll apologize to Jiang Lai immediately. I'll kneel in front of her and beg her for forgiveness." The medical team Jiang Chuan brought was as professional as a top-tier hospital. Under their treatment, I slowly regained consciousness. I happened to hear Shen Tinglan begging for forgiveness. But I knew in my heart that he didn't know he was wrong, he was just afraid. When my younger brother Jiang Chuan was alive, he was like a devil in the capital. The Jiang family was a century-old noble family, and he was the only extremely ruthless descendant. His ruthlessness was in his bones. Those who offended him never lived in one piece. Broken hands and feet were the most basic. Back then, mentioning Jiang Chuan's name in the capital would make the ground tremble. But such a devil-like child was extremely protective and loving towards me and my father and mother. His existence became an impenetrable shield for the Jiang family. And Shen Tinglan, back then, was just an accountant under him. Jiang Chuan chuckled and shook his head, instructing his men to open the ceiling. The azure sky was revealed, accompanied by the sound of seagulls. "It's useless, Shen Tinglan. The place you chose is very good. In international waters, no one will bother you no matter what happens. My sister said you people all have to feed the sharks." It was only then that I realized we were on the high seas. In this place, even if I really died, it wouldn't affect anyone. After so many years of marriage, Shen Tinglan was truly ruthless. Back then he was just an accountant for Jiang Chuan. Because he was accurate with calculations and good at investing, Jiang Chuan entrusted him with many projects. Plus, once Jiang Chuan was targeted by enemies, 20-odd people surrounded him and Shen Tinglan. That time, Shen Tinglan broke an arm and a leg to save his life. He recuperated in the hospital for half a year. When Shen Tinglan was discharged, he received the highest honor Jiang Chuan could bestow. From then on he became Jiang Chuan's closest brother. And he, because of that, got the opportunity to get close to the Jiang family and me. Shen Tinglan was highly educated and had an extraordinary talent for business. But in a place like the capital where every inch of land was precious, he was always unfulfilled. He finally found a job, but the suppression and credit stealing by his superiors made him indignant. After that, he started his own business. But without background or connections, he still couldn't make progress. So saving Jiang Chuan became his ticket to enter the upper-class society of the capital. He gradually gained the trust of my father and Jiang Chuan, and began to pursue me in every way possible. The taller the tree, the more the wind attracts. Later, the Jiang family at its peak was targeted by a wealthy family in Hong Kong. They also believed in solving problems with violence. So Jiang Chuan died in an accidental explosion. It was Shen Tinglan who helped him collect the body. But in fact, that explosion was designed by Jiang Chuan himself. He told me and my father that the Jiang family was now in the eye of the storm, too conspicuous. He planned to have the Jiang family retreat behind the scenes, so that everyone wouldn't just stare at the Jiang family. At that time, both Jiang Chuan and I planned to tell Shen Tinglan about this plan. But my father stopped us. He said that Shen Tinglan was capable and even more ambitious. He seemed to treat the Jiang family sincerely, but in fact, none of us could see through his heart. My father told us to be careful of him. Although Jiang Chuan didn't agree with my father's words, we still did as he said. Later, my father also faked his death and went abroad, leaving only me by Shen Tinglan's side. Because I was pregnant. The arrival of the child made Shen Tinglan especially happy. He obeyed my every word, and wouldn't even let me walk on my own. Whenever we went out, he would pick me up and carry me to the car. I thought we would continue to be happy like this. But a car accident made me lose the child. Shen Tinglan seemed to have not changed at all, but there was always something vaguely wrong. Until now he said that Li Rongrong was pregnant with his child. Jiang Chuan first had those playboy sons tied up. Then he brought them to the deck one by one. Everyone was terrified. Because they knew Jiang Chuan's personality very well. He said he would feed them to the sharks, and he would definitely throw them into the sea. Young Master Jiang, we were wrong. We were blinded by Shen Tinglan. We know our mistake. Please spare our lives. Young Master Jiang, I still have a wife and children at home. My mother has Alzheimer's disease. I can't die. Please forgive me this time for always supporting you in the past. It was Shen Tinglan. He said that Jiang Lai is now just a petty housewife, and still acts like a young lady every day. He wanted to show her some color. That's why we came to support him. If you want to avenge Jiang Lai, go find Shen Tinglan. Jiang Chuan impatiently picked at his ears. He waved his hand, and all those who had laughed at me were thrown into the sea. He also had their wrists cut open to bleed, deliberately letting the sharks smell the blood and come for them. At this moment, the sea echoed with waves of pleas for mercy. And in the cabin, I was watching Li Rongrong kneeling on the ground and Shen Tinglan kowtowing to me with sarcasm. Hearing the screams outside, Li Rongrong kowtowed even more forcefully in fear. Shen Tinglan had his legs broken by Jiang Chuan, terrified that Jiang Chuan would shoot him in the head. He kept reminiscing about the past and professing his loyalty. Wife, I was wrong. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. You don't like Li Rongrong, I'll get rid of her immediately, okay? As long as you can forgive me, you can do anything you want. I don't want the child in Li Rongrong's belly anymore. I don't care about her belly. I only want you, wife. Please don't abandon me, okay? Jiang Chuan said he would consider sparing Li Rongrong's life if she kowtowed to me 1,000 times. So even though Li Rongrong heard Shen Tinglan's words and wanted to curse him, she didn't stop kowtowing to me. The doctor told me my baby was gone. My heart was desolate. Seeing that I hadn't said anything, he dragged his still bleeding legs and crawled to my feet. He pressed his forehead against the back of my foot. Wife, please give me one more chance. I love you. I only love you. For the sake of how much we loved each other before, please forgive me just this last time, please. Jiang Chuan came in from outside. He saw Shen Tinglan touching my foot. He walked over and kicked him away several meters. Don't touch my sister. He looked down at Shen Tinglan and Li Rongrong. The people outside have all been fed to the sharks. Now only the two of you are left. Tell me, should I throw you directly into the sea? Or should I cut you into pieces before throwing you in? Li Rongrong was already sobbing uncontrollably with fear. Every step Jiang Chuan took made her tremble with fear. I was silent for a long time and gave Jiang Chuan a look. Li Rongrong, you love this man, don't you? Even if he doesn't divorce me, you still want to have his child. No, I wouldn't dare anymore. I curled my lips coldly. How about we play a game? I can have Jiang Chuan let one of you go. As long as you decide who goes to feed the sharks, I'll let the other one go. Jiang Chuan understandingly threw each of them a military knife. Shen Tinglan and Li Rongrong looked at each other. I smiled coldly. Or you can kill each other, so you don't have to feed the sharks yourselves. Although my body was treated in time, and there was no life-threatening danger. But I didn't want to stay here any longer. So I gave the two of them a final chance. As for who would survive in a moment, I didn't care. Jiang Chuan pushed me out of the cabin. Outside the cabin was a vast blue sky and sea. Jiang Chuan started live-streaming Shen Tinglan and Li Rongrong's life and death game with a camera. Soon, the live broadcast room was flooded with hundreds of thousands of netizens from all over the world. Everyone was betting on who would be the final victor. I thought Shen Tinglan's legs were injured, so he should be killed by Li Rongrong. But in reality, I underestimated this man's viciousness. Shen Tinglan secretly hid the military knife. Then, with tears streaming down his face, he said to Li Rongrong, "Rongrong, we can't afford to offend the Jiang family. Jiang Chuan is an emotionless devil. They want us to kill each other, but how can I do it? You're carrying my child. Anyway, my leg is going to be crippled, and I'll be disabled even if I go out. I might as well die here. So you can live well and give birth to our child and raise them. Don't cry, Rongrong, don't be afraid. The Jiang family keeps their word. Come here and give me one last hug." Li Rongrong was touched beyond words. She got up and walked over to hug Shen Tinglan. Immediately afterwards, she heard the sound of a knife piercing her skin. Her eyes widened as she fell backward. The blood from her chest stained a large area of her clothes red. Until her death, she couldn't even ask Shen Tinglan a question. The netizens in the live broadcast room frantically spammed the screen, saying that Shen Tinglan was a scumbag, the scum of men, and should be fed to the sharks. But I watched the monitor with a blank expression. Suddenly, I understood my father's caution toward Shen Tinglan. People who are unscrupulous will never have true feelings. In front of the camera, Shen Tinglan shouted, "Wife, I killed Li Rongrong to avenge you. Throw her down to feed the sharks. I won, wife. Let's go home." Shen Tinglan was right about one thing. The Jiang family keeps their word. As long as one of them dies, the other will definitely live. So, when the cruise ship returned, Shen Tinglan had already been taken away to stop the bleeding and heal his wounds. As for those friends of Jiang Chuan who were thrown into the sea to feed the sharks, they all fainted in fear when they realized the sharks were rushing towards them. Jiang Chuan drove away the sharks and then pulled them all back up. He cut off one hand from each of them and sent them back to their families in Beijing. And I was sent to the hospital to recuperate. The child was gone, but Jiang Chuan's private doctor kept a blood sample of the child. When I woke up in the hospital, Shen Tinglan was sitting in a wheelchair, guarding my bedside. "Wife, are you thirsty? Are you hungry?" I looked around. Jiang Chuan wasn't there. His mercenaries couldn't enter the country, so he hired a team of bodyguards to protect my safety. But I neglected that Shen Tinglan was, after all, the president of the Shen Group. In Beijing, he still had some influence. "You bribed my bodyguards. Aren't you afraid that Jiang Chuan will come back and kill you?" A hint of fear flashed in Shen Tinglan's eyes. "I won't hurt you again, Jiang Lai. I know we love each other. I made a mistake by getting Li Rongrong pregnant, but you've already retaliated against me. You're also pregnant with another man's child." "Enough," I interrupted him sharply. "You still think I had an affair?" Shen Tinglan immediately shook his head. "No, no more. What I meant was, let's just let this matter pass, and we'll never mention it again, okay?" I lay in bed and laughed sarcastically. The next second the police broke down the door. Mr. Shen Tinglan, there is evidence that you used a knife to brutally murder Li Rongrong. Please come with us. Shen Tinglan was stunned for a few seconds, then burst out. Impossible. I didn't kill her. The police took out handcuffs and said patiently, there is video evidence. Seeing that he was about to be handcuffed and taken away, he shouted, disregarding his image. You can't arrest me. We were in international waters at the time. You have no right to arrest me. The police sneered. Didn't you know? You had already entered our country's waters at that time. When you killed Li Rongrong, it was on our country's territory. Shen Tinglan was instantly dumbfounded. I sat up in bed, watching his expression gradually turn to despair with irony. He suddenly pointed at me and roared. You schemed against me. Jiang Lai, we've been husband and wife for so many years. How could you plot against me like this? I shook my head. It's all your own fault, Shen Tinglan. You just wait for your retribution. Shen Tinglan was taken away by the police. Jiang Chuan came in from outside the door with a proud look on his face. Sometimes I'll use legitimate means to deal with scum. Sis, once you've recovered, come with me, Dad misses you too. It's time for our family to reunite. I nodded. But I still wanted to do one more thing. The progress of Shen Tinglan's case was very fast. The evidence was conclusive and the chain of evidence was complete. Even though Shen Tinglan initially pushed all the responsibility onto me and Jiang Chuan, but there wasn't a single trace of me or Jiang Chuan's DNA at the scene. There was no evidence to prove we were even there at the time, and his cronies all unanimously stated that it was Shen Tinglan who took Li Rongrong out to sea, and then brutally murdered her. Shen Tinglan was sentenced to death. Before the execution, I went to see him one last time. He had his head shaved and looked as old as a 60-year-old man. What are you doing here? You ruined me like this. Are you here to laugh at me? Shen Tinglan, why did you treat me like that? Even now, I don't understand why his personality changed so drastically. Shen Tinglan laughed bleakly. He raised his cloudy eyes and looked at me. Because I loathe you people who have everything from birth. You can get anything you want effortlessly. Well, I have to pay 1,000 times the price to gain even a little. Why? But after Jiang Chuan left, you already had everything. You were the president of Shen Corporation, the owner of a listed company. You gained fame and status. How did I provoke you? Shen Tinglan sighed and leaned back in his chair. Jiang Lai, actually I love you, but I also hate you. You're spoiled and willful. Even after the Jiang family fell, you were still a high and mighty princess. In front of you, it's like I can never hold my head up, so I want you to submit, to make you become lowly. I laughed mockingly. So that's it. I got up to leave. Shen Tinglan panicked, his eyes filled with panic and fear. Before leaving, I taped the child's gene testing report and his own on the glass. He looked at it over and over again for a long time. Finally, from the other side of the glass, came an extremely shrill scream. The moment before boarding the plane, Jiang Chuan said that Shen Tinglan had committed suicide in prison. But he failed, and he was eventually executed. My heart contracted sharply. I heard he went crazy after he found out your child was his. He had nightmares every night, shouting Daddy was wrong, Daddy was wrong. Killing his own 2 children, he can never atone for his sins in this life or the next. He also wrote a letter to you. I have it here. Do you want to see it? Looking at the blood-stained envelope Jiang Chuan handed me, I tore the letter to shreds and threw it into the trash can without hesitation. No. On the plane to Germany, I looked back at the land I had stayed in for Shen Tinglan's sake. I had absolutely no nostalgia for it. This relationship and marriage was destined to fail. I should have listened to my parents more when I was young. Maybe I could have avoided some detours. I hope my next half of life can be more free and easy, and not be trapped by love.